Sadly, it is an insult directed at the United States' most important ally and trading partner on day one of a new administration.
According to a new report, several Canadian premiers want to go to war with Joe Biden over the cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline. So as I've discussed, Joe Biden signing this executive order to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline permit is one of the great things that he has done so far as president. And this does not sit well with several Canadian premiers, especially Jason Kenney of Alberta, who I will get to a clip of in a minute here, who put a bet on this pipeline, knowing the risks that it might not go forward. And now he's crying because the bet didn't work out. So as Global News writes here, this was during a first minister's call where, quote, some premiers want to go to war with the U.S. over the cancellation. Aides of those who participated in the meeting said Biden's revoking of the Keystone XL permit, one of several executive orders signed within hours of his inauguration, drew sharp condemnation from the premiers of Alberta and Saskatchewan, whose energy sectors were depending on the U.S. $8 billion project. Kenney, who called the cancellation an economic gut punch, told reporters Wednesday that Canada could impose trade and economic sanctions on the U.S. if the Biden administration does not agree to further discussions on the future of the project. The project's done. It's dead. Biden finished it. The idea of instituting economic and trade sanctions because of this, because of your bad bet, Jason Kenney's bad bet on an oil pipeline, is absolutely ridiculous. He deserves anyone who lost their job, and by the way, they're mostly temporary jobs, as I'll get to in a second, but anyone who lost their job on the creation of this pipeline, the only person here you should blame is Jason Kenney for not actually investing into new industry, investing into workers, investing into permanent jobs, and instead investing into temporary jobs that was a complete bet of whether or not it would even go forward to begin with. So he lost the bet, and the only person you can really blame here is Jason Kenney. During the discussion, aides said Ontario Premier Doug Ford cast his lot in with Alberta's Jason Kenney and Saskatchewan's Scott Moe and warned the Prime Minister he should stand up to a bully like Biden on Keystone. This kind of language is absolutely hilarious. We just got through 4 years of Donald Trump. You did not see Doug Ford once discuss Donald Trump in this way, the way he's already describing Joe Biden. When it came to all of Trump's xenophobia, racism, nothing at all about Trump being a bully from Doug Ford or anybody else, but all of a sudden now, canceling an oil pipeline. Oh my God, look at this bully Joe Biden. A bully because he is listening to the science and understands that investing into new fossil fuel infrastructure in the year 2021 makes absolutely no sense. Now, before I go to completely dismantling Jason Kenney's argument here on the jobs created or that would be created under Keystone XL, let me play a clip of his reaction here.
But as friends and allies of the United States, we are deeply disturbed that one of President Biden's first actions in office has been to rescind the presidential permit for the Keystone XL pipeline border crossing. This is a gut punch for the Canadian and Alberta economies. Sadly, it is an insult directed at the United States' most important ally and trading partner on day one of a new administration. Today, as I speak, over 2,000 women and men have lost their jobs or are heading home from good-paying union jobs as a result of this decision. My thoughts go to every one of them as they cope with the distressing consequences of today's decision. We'll continue to fight for them and for the 59,000 jobs that this project would create.
This is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to get to a reaction in a minute here from a Canadian union president and where he puts the blame. But the idea that Keystone XL is creating thousands and thousands of jobs and would create thousands more is just not true. The vast majority of any job created is simply in the construction of Keystone XL. And then once it would have been finished, let me show you how many jobs would actually have been created from PolitiFact here. Both TC Energy and the State Department have said the majority of those jobs would be temporary. A 2014 report found that the company would need only 50 employees to maintain the Keystone XL pipeline once it's finished, 35 of them permanent. So they would only need 35 permanent jobs. Wouldn't it make a lot more sense to invest into healthcare, invest into renewable energies, invest into pretty much any other industry that is not dying? But to invest all of this time, all of this money into a dying industry, this is the fault, again, of Jason Kenney and any lawmaker who thinks that's a good idea. Not the fault of people canceling these projects because they are not sustainable. More here. From City News, Rory Gill, president of the Canadian Union of Public Employees in Alberta, said the blame still lies at the feet of Kenney. Quote, President Biden made it clear that he wasn't a supporter of Keystone XL, and the premier went ahead and used taxpayer money to make a bet, and he lost that bet. To say now that he is upset about it and he doesn't think it is fair, again, this is an investment, and when you make investments, you have to weigh the risks. He didn't do that, Gill said. Gill said Kenney's campaign promises around boosting jobs, improving the economy, and building pipelines have so far not come through, and called his record abysmal. This is the fault of Jason Kenney for being so stupid, for putting all of his investment, all of his time, all of his energy into oil producers, as opposed to putting that energy, putting those resources into creating new jobs, new permanent jobs in sustainable energies or any other field where right now, by the way, he is cutting jobs. From Climate Justice Edmonton, Kenney chose this very obviously unbuildable project over 11,000 healthcare jobs, over safe schools in a pandemic, over proper paid sick leave, over Alberta healthcare for all for migrant workers, over a just transition for oil workers whose jobs aren't coming back. Again, this is the fault of Jason Kenney. So the idea of going to war with the U.S. over canceling a project that should have been canceled a long time ago, and by the way, was canceled by Barack Obama before Joe Biden, before Donald Trump came in and restarted it, then finally again canceled for good by Joe Biden. This is exactly what needed to be done. The writing's been on the wall for years. The idea that Jason Kenney would invest into this pipeline that he knew Joe Biden did not support, this is purely at the feet of Jason Kenney.